As Jerry and Esther are traveling about, they are using navigational systems. You may be too. They have 4 different ones in 4 different vehicles now. Garmin is their new all-time favorite. But all of them are based upon the same principle of 2 points of relativity. The system knows where you are, and you program in where you want to go, and then it designs a route and gives it to you verbally and visually to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Magellan never ever says to them, "What in the world are you doing there?" Or, "You've been there far too long now, I'm not going to tell you." Or, "You missed your window. The route was planned for you and you didn't take it, and now it's just too late. You're stuck there forever." Magellan never says to them, "You are in an unworthy place. See if you can't move to a more worthy place, and then we'll talk to you." In other words, it's just straightforward. Where am I in relationship to where I want to be? And the system just gives new information. Constantly, constant new information. You have a guidance system within you that operates on the same principle of 2 points of vibrational relativity. But in order to understand your guidance system, first you must understand that you are non-physical energy eternally, and that part of you is the strongest vibrational aspect of you, far greater than who you are in this physical body. That's that old, wise culmination of all that you have become. That's God force. That's source energy. And that's the non-physical part of you, and it is pulsing constantly with a signal that is undeniable. Now, the other signal is you here in your physical body. An extension of that non-physical energy, a portion of that consciousness is here in this physical body. And those 2 points of vibrations, the physical you and the non-physical you, are vibrationally playing off of one another constantly. When you find a thought or speak a word that is a vibrational match to who you really are, you are really going with the flow, and you can feel the flow. It feels like love. It feels like appreciation. It feels like joy. It feels like alignment with that which is source, and it is. But when you find hate or rage, or those feelings of fear or depression that feel like disempowerment, or not so bad feeling ones like frustration and overwhelmment, any of those emotions that feel what you describe as negative emotions, every single time are indicating to you that whatever it is you're focused upon right now, that you're beating the drum of, that you've got a vibration within you activated about, has got you running cross current of your stream. In other words, your stream is calling you this way, and you're trying to go this way, and you're feeling the tug of war. That's what negative emotion is. So positive emotion is going with the flow. Negative emotion is going against the flow. So then our physical friends say, "Oh, well, if that's true, Abraham, then it would behoove me to stay up here in these high-flying, good-feeling emotions. I should be in love and appreciation all the time." And we say, "It's nicer when you're there." But we don't want to say you should be there all the time, because you came deliberately into this physical environment to explore contrast in order to give birth to new desires. And when you're knowing what you don't want, that's when you're most clearly knowing what you do want. But while you're knowing what you don't want, you're not feeling that good. So if we were to say to you, you should never dip into anything less than appreciation and love and joy, we would then be saying to you, you probably are not going to be able to explore your time-space reality very thoroughly. You're probably going to have to surround yourself with a cloister of like-minded people, and you're not going to maybe feel the despair, but we promise you, you're not going to feel passion either, because without exploring contrast, you don't give birth to new desires, and without giving birth to new desires, you don't get that flow going. And if you don't get that flow going, then you feel bored, you see. And boredom is negative emotion too. So what we really want you to get from this is not that we are asking you to work your way up this emotional scale where you are abiding only in joy and appreciation, although we want that for you. That feels best of all to you. What we really, really are asking of you is that you just have a sense of whether you're pointed against the current or with the flow, against the flow or with the flow. because we want you to understand sometimes as we talk about this emotional guidance scale, and we talk about how on the end that feels lovely, appreciation and love and joy and passion, there is your perspective or your perception of utter empowerment. On the other end of the scale that feels so awful, where fear and depression are the dominant vibrations all the way to the end, that is your perspective or your perception of complete disempowerment. And we want you to realize that there is something in between. In other words, many more words than we could offer if we spoke all day about the various places that you might be hanging out temporarily or even longer along this emotional scale. What we want you to hear from us today, while of course it feels better to feel the best and it feels terrible to feel the worst, what we want you to hear from us today is that since this stream is going, in the moment that you just stop pushing this way, just let go of your oars. That's all you have to do. The stream will turn you and begin to carry you. And that is the moment of relief. And that moment of relief is all you're looking for. You could be close to appreciation and turn into relief. You could be in frustration, overwhelmment, and turn and find relief. You could be in anger or revenge and turn and find relief. You could be in absolute fear or despair and turn and find relief. And it's that relief factor we want you to find, because the stream, once you get turned, will take care of everything else. So when we say to you, from your point of view, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, no matter who you're interacting with, if you will understand that where you stand right now, you really only have two choices: worse or better. Worse or better. Relief or not relief. And when you get it, that's all you have to pay attention to. What thought feels better? What thought feels better? Sometimes no thought feels better. Sometimes putting your brain on pause is the relief you need to turn your boat. Sometimes meditation is the relief you need to turn your boat. Sometimes taking a nap and then waking up with a new vantage point is the relief you need to turn your boat. Sometimes taking a day off is the relief you need to turn your boat. Sometimes making love, sometimes going to the beach, sometimes eating chocolate pudding. In other words, you get to choose, but it is your work to find that point, that turning point of relief. And we want you to understand that if you are really doing your job as a deliberate creator, you've got 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 or more turning points going on every day, where you are aware that you could find a thought that feels better, or you could find a thought that feels a little less bad. That's all we're asking for. And we think that some of you who have been listening to us for a while think that Abraham is going to give you an A if you get all the way up here in this emotional scale, and that if you're lurking down here around fear and despair, that you're not getting a good grade in this class on deliberate creating. And we say, just relax and turn and we'll give you an A. Because that is the effort. That is the only effort. And stop making judgment about whether down here is worse and up here is better. Just turn and let the current take you. As Jerry and Esther are leaving Phoenix on their way to San Diego, most of the 400-mile journey, they're not in San Diego. They're failing almost all the way there. They don't get 20 miles out and argue with each other whose fault it is that they're not there yet, and lose their perspective and turn around and go back to Phoenix. Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, and then pronounce that it's impossible to get there. It's an impossible dream. It's incurable. Because they understand that it's just a matter of pointing in the right direction. And that's really what your guidance system is telling you. Which is the direction of the flow. That's all. Because that's all your guidance system has to tell you. Which is the direction of the flow. The flow will take care of everything else. The flow will take care of everything else. Do you know that? To know that, you have to know who you are. You have to know how good you are. You have to know that you are source energy. You have to know that you came into this experience for the express purpose of coming to new conclusions and getting the flow going so that you could go with the flow. You said, I'll go be physical so that I can make a flow to go with. I am the creator of my reality. I am the creator of my flow. And do you know that you can't live anything without adding to that vibrational escrow? When we peer into your individual vibrational escrows, the amount of dollars and resources and flexibility and vitality and clarity and physical wondrous things of all manner that we see in your vibrational escrow make our heart sing on your behalf. And as we stand there in the middle of your vibrational escrow, basking in exhilaration of what you have created through all that you've lived and that which you have added just now today with that argument you had with someone or with that appreciation that you had of something. As we behold your vibrational escrow, we be it so completely. We offer a vibration of it so totally that if you will listen, you will hear the call of Source calling you to that which you have created. Do you get that? So what does the call of Source sound like? Harps and angels, surely. Well, it sort of depends on where you are in the stream. In other words, Jerry and Esther were basking last week, driving, having a wonderful day, magnificent weather, smooth roads, the bus that takes all the bumps out anyway. They are just gliding in ecstasy, in love with life and each other. And each little thought that they thought of appreciation just rippled them right into ecstasy. In other words, the call of Source, when you're hanging out on the leading edge of feeling really, really good, feels really, really good. They were at a restaurant in Eugene, Marseille. The waiter put a salad down in front of Esther, and thrill bumps rippled through her entire body as she acknowledged this magnificent salad with all of these beautiful greens that had been locally grown and tenderly cared for and carefully plucked and carefully prepared and brought to them on a plate with such love and appreciation, not only for them, but for them. And as Esther looked at it, she thought she would die. She thought it was the most magnificent moment in time she'd ever lived, over a salad. That's the call of Source when you're right up there on that leading edge of well-being, you see. But if you are in despair, if you are in fear, it isn't that Source ceases its calling. Never does Source cease its calling. The flow never stops. It's just that your vibrational relationship to it feels different. In other words, when you're going with the flow, imagine the airplane high in the sky going very fast. You're looking out the window, the landscape's going by, and all in your world is well. Put that same aircraft on the ground at that speed. Not so well. And so the absence of resistance is what makes that high-flying energy feel so wonderful. And do you know what's happened to you? You are the end product of generations of physical beings and God Source who have got your energy moving so very, very fast that you must work harder to keep up with it. But we want to say that in a better way. You must not work so hard against it. You must go with the flow. You can't not go with the flow. You cannot not keep up with who you are and feel good. You must keep up with who you are. So when your life causes you to ask for something more, all of the resources of the universe are queued up to help you get it. Friends, you got to go in the direction of it or you don't feel so good. And do you know, here it is, the biggest piece of information that we've ever given to anyone, and you are the first to hear it in this way. Oh, never mind. You are the one who creates your flow, and you are the one that does not go with it. And not one other person in your life has anything to do with that. It's you versus you, period.